Well, we must be celebrating something pretty big today. Good afternoon, Emporia State University. We'll try it one more time because I'm sure I caught you all mid-bite, mid-conversation, everything else, but good afternoon, Emporia State University. Happy 152nd birthday to our institution. Let's hear it for Emporia State. As most of you know, we have celebrated for the last couple years our 150th, our founding from 1863. This year's Founders Day is extremely exciting as well because our founding date has two components to it. One of them is 1863 when the legislation was passed that created the Kansas State Normal School. The other piece of that date comes from February 15th of 1865 when Lyman Kellogg, our first president and only instructor at the time, and 18 students met for the first time on February 15th of that day. So this is actually celebrating our 150th year of actually having classes at Emporia State University right here in Emporia, Kansas. Let's hear it for those students and then Lyman Kellogg. We certainly came from some extremely humble beginnings. Lyman Kellogg and those 18 students had a chalkboard, a Bible, and they borrowed a room in the local schoolhouse. One of those 18 students was a gal by the name of Ellen Matilda Callis. She would go on to earn her certificate in teaching, and she would marry Preston Plum's brother, George. Most of us know Preston Plum. That's a pretty big name in Kansas as well as in Emporia. And Ellen and George had 8 children. One of those children was Kitty. Kitty would later marry Clarence DeLong, and they had a daughter named Margaret, who otherwise was known as Peggy or just Peg. Peg was actually the Sunflower Queen candidate in 1931 right here at KSTC. Peg would eventually marry Don Rowe, and they had a daughter named Donna, who is now Donna Russell, making Donna the great-granddaughter of Ellen Callis Plum, one of those original 18 students. Donna is here today. And Donna, would you please stand? Donna and her husband, Jim, have 3 children, and I am told that all 3 of them are ESU graduates. So, Donna, Jim, thank you so much for being here to connect us to those very fond roots of our original 18 students. Today, we are certainly here to celebrate those legislators who crafted the bill and allocated that funding to begin our school all the way back in 1863. We're here to celebrate Lyman Kellogg, Ellen Callis, and her fellow students who engaged in that very first day of classes on February 15th of 1865. We're here to celebrate the many, many others who have labored, who have sacrificed, and who have invested in this university and in this community to ensure its growth and its prosperity. And quite frankly, we are here to celebrate each and every one of you and your connection and affiliation with this great university. Our past, present, and future is all founded under one common idea, and that we are Hornets truly striving for the common good. Once again, happy 152nd birthday, Emporia State University. Let's hear it one more time. Before we roll through our program too far today, I do want to take some time to give some special welcomes. Please join me in welcoming our president, Michael Schonrock. Seated towards the front and middle today are members of our Kellogg Society. Our Kellogg Society members have all given a gift of their estate. They've made a planned gift to Emporia State University. They've included Emporia State in their future plans, and they hold this university so fondly that they want to make sure that we have a very strong future. Please welcome our Kellogg Society members over here. I also want to recognize 2 of our co-chairs of the Now and Forever campaign, which is the largest and most comprehensive campaign in university history. And it happens to also be already to date the most successful campaign in university history in just over 3 years, having had $34.4 million upwards of that number already invested in this university. Those two people would be Carolyn Langdon-Walter. Carolyn, would you rise or wave? And Dr. John Rich. Steve Souter and Paul Edwards are also chairs of that great campaign. Steve is enjoying his time in California right now, and Paul is also in California, having just turned 100 years old on January 12th. So please give them a round of applause as well. Great job. We have our vice presidents here today. We have Dina Supotestio, David Cordell, Werner Goling, Jim Williams. Please welcome our vice presidents. We have an absolutely ton of faculty and staff joining us here today. We're so thankful for you being here. We're joined by a number of community leaders, community folks from around Emporia representing different organizations and agencies, as well as the city of Emporia. I want to especially thank Mayor Geitz and members of the City Commission for being here. Every year they pass a proclamation to honor this day and to celebrate this day and to proclaim this as Emporia State University Day. That proclamation is up here by our celebratory cake. And one of the words or one of the lines in that proclamation reads, "The city of Emporia and Emporia State University continue to be deeply intertwined through generations of collaboration." We are certainly thankful to be able to collaborate with our local community and truly build a university community. Thank you to the city and all of our city leaders. Please give them a round of applause. To our alumni board, our trustees, our students, we have representatives of the Student Foundation. I think they're all at one table. Where's our Student Foundation folks at? You guys, go ahead, Amber, stand up, guys. Go ahead, stand up and say hi. These are members of our Student Foundation. And they are charged to raise philanthropic awareness across the campus of students. They are part of the Hornet Nation, and they build a Hornet Nation fund. I'm sure they're going to be talking to you a little bit about that today as you interact with them. But please tell them hi, wish them well. They do great work. Those funds are student-led, and they will take those funds and meet student needs. So they are a very hands-on group that work directly to benefit our students and that are giving to that great society. Our ambassadors are here, members of ASG. Please welcome all of our students. And at this time, I'd like to welcome forward two representatives of the Kellogg Society, Ken and Marilyn Buckley, if you guys would please come up. And we also have Olivia Henning, our president of the ESU Ambassadors, as well as Tyler Huddleston, president of Associated Student Government. Please join Ken and Marilyn. They have a big task today. This is always one of those tasks that you just don't quite know exactly how to handle it all and what to do, but they are going to cut the ceremonial cake and celebrate our 152nd birthday. So at this time, our ESU String Quartet is going to play a festive song, and they're going to spend some time taking pictures and taking stabs at that cake. So please enjoy the music while they do that and take pictures. Tyler, if you want to, feel free to cut in. And Ken, you do the same. Please give our students and Kellogg Society members a big round of applause. Marilyn retired last year, and she's remarked that she's never left. So, Marilyn, thank you for being here once again. And Ken, members of our Kellogg Society, Tyler, and Olivia, thank you so much for your representation. Today's theme revolves around Emporia State University's new vision to change lives for the common good. We thought it would be fun to take some time and stroll through the union and ask our students what they thought of when they hear the term the common good. And to set this up a little bit, what we did is we strolled through the Memorial Union a couple weeks ago, 11 o'clock on a Friday. And this is what we found in about 45 minutes. This truly is a small snapshot of our students right here every single day and some of their thoughts. I hope you enjoy this short video on the common good.
Doing what's right by as many people as physically possible.
Honestly, when I hear common good, I always think of music for some reason. Like, music has always been something that I've loved, and it's something that everybody can share and be a part of. I mean, common good is not only just about political stuff, but it can be other stuff, like the common good to do better for education majors, music majors, art majors, I mean, every major that comes to this university.
I think it's good for everybody involved in the situation that you're in.
I think it means like spreading good all around. You want everybody to be on the same page, and you're just trying to do it for like the community and it's common good.
Walking on campus every day, you see friends hanging out, and I always try and lend a hand to help out.
I have a firm belief that, like, in our everyday actions, if we're not doing something to benefit someone else or make someone else's situation better, I think we're wasting our time. So I feel like every day we should be trying to do something to help someone else's situation. I come from a third world country which is broken at the moment, so I've seen a lot of like shattered families, depression. So I feel like the common good would be contributing to their situation, trying to help them feel better, trying to make the world a better place, no matter how small the change is or how long that change takes.
I think whenever I hear the term the common good, I think of people making sacrifices, individual sacrifices, just so everybody can have a better living space, better community as a whole.
When I hear the term the common good, I think of making compromises, because we obviously can't all have exactly what we want, so we have to sacrifice a little of what we want for somebody else to have like their piece too.
When I think of common good, I think about unity and coming together as a whole and working together.
What comes to mind is equality for everybody, if there are resources that everybody gets it, and there's like no discrimination.
I think the common good is just shedding off other labels and affiliations and just coming together as people, and focusing on that and what we can do just to make life better for everyone.
I think kind of with the common good, everything works out for everybody. It's no one person's interest in mind. It benefits me, and then with that in return benefits the university, benefits kind of everybody that's really involved with my success, which goes back to everybody else's success.
For me, I think the common good is everybody. You know, we talk about the common man, and this is a debate term, so bear with me. The common man is just the regular individual, the guy who's out trying to bring home money to put dinner on the table. And so when I hear the term the common good, what's going to benefit him? But I think it's more than that. I think it's not only benefiting the common man, but it's benefiting everybody. The less common man, the man who's making more than the individual or less. And I just think whoever's going to benefit the greater good.
So when I think of the common good, I think that it must apply to everyone's needs and individual aspirations in life, and it has to meet those things in order to make them a better person.
Do we have great students or what? Let's hear it for our students. I don't know if you could see that last slide, but that last individual we caught in the bookstore. And she was visiting campus that day. She was actually enrolling that day. She's going to be a part of our honors college here at Emporia State University, and she's a legacy student of a couple of our alums who live in Lawrence, Kansas. So I think it was really a really cool way to capture what goes on every single day here at Emporia State University right below our feet today. So I'm joined over here on this table with Dr. Charlie Brown, who is a professor of philosophy, and he's also our current Row R Cross Distinguished Professor. Dr. Brown's been here for just over 25 years, and he is certainly our resident expert in all things philosophical, which I think the common good is somewhat philosophical. Is that right? So I think at least. But doing what's right and compromise and community, helping others, these are certainly things that I heard in the video that our students were interjecting. And Dr. Brown, I just kind of want to know from your perspective, what do you think about Emporia State's new focus on the idea of the common good?
Well, thank you, Tyler. That student video was very good. They were very articulate. They make us all look good, and so thank you to our students. I was struck by a number of things that were said in there: community, friends, make the world a better place, working together, equality. It's not always about politics, regular individuals. And so congratulations to you and everybody who put that together as well. So first of all, let me just say that I'm delighted that our university has chosen to identify our mission with the notion of the common good. In my view, and my views here are strictly my own, they don't necessarily represent the views of management.
Leave it to a faculty member.
But in my view, identifying ourselves with the common good is a bold, it's even a risky act. 152 years ago, our state established this university for the purpose of training teachers for a developing state. And that was part of a wider movement to build public universities, to spread expertise needed for a growing economy, but also to nurture a wider segment of society for greater responsibility and community leadership. It's always been a core mission of public and private universities to nurture an educated population that can contribute to informed and practical decisions in the democratic project of self-governance. Now, some of you may recall that the Greek philosopher Plato had very skeptical ideas about the prospects for democracy. For Plato, democracy was ruled by the ignorant masses. And if our great American adventure in democracy is to fulfill its promise, we need an educated population. Our individual and shared well-being is tied up with the success of that project. Vital forms of democracy are not easy to come by, maybe even harder to keep. And it strikes me that one essential condition for a vital democracy, especially in the 21st century, is an educated population and a culture of lifelong learning.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. I think we all agree that lifelong learning is key, and we don't stop learning just because we have a degree from Emporia State. I'm struck by something that you said, though, regarding risk. And we have a wonderful partnership with the Kansas Leadership Center, and one of those concepts behind their leadership model is that leadership is risky. You mentioned that the common good is risky. Can you kind of comment on why you think the common good is a risky idea?
Well, I'll try not to take too much time.
Well, we are on strict time limits here, Charles. You know.
No idea, no matter how good it is immune from being misused or poorly understood. And it's easy to think that the idea of the common good is straightforward, it's obvious, and that we all understand it in the same way. But it's also common for people to understand the relation between the pursuit of the common good and the pursuit of the individual or private good as somehow inconsistent and even incompatible. And interestingly, this way of thinking is often shared by people who champion the idea and the pursuit of the common good, as well as by people who champion the idea in the pursuit of the private good. And let me give you a couple of examples. I have some quotes here. We see this in the thinking of the widely admired and deeply controversial novelist Ayn Rand. Some of you may be familiar with her fiction and nonfiction works. And here's a quotation from a newspaper column that she wrote. The tribal good of the common good, or I'm sorry, the tribal notion of the common good has served as the moral justification of most social systems and all tyrannies in history. The degree of a society's enslavement or freedom corresponded to the degree to which that tribal slogan was invoked or ignored. She goes on to write, but the good of the majority, too, is only a pretense and a delusion, since in fact, the violation of an individual's rights means the abrogation of all rights. On the other side, a couple of years ago, in an essay that appeared in Time magazine under the title, Whatever Happened to the Common Good, the essay quoted the well-known expert on bioethics, Daniel Callahan, who argued that solving the current crisis in the healthcare system, that is, dwindling access and rising cost, he argued that solving that crisis requires replacing the current ethic of individual rights with an ethic of the common good. So if we look closely at the rhetoric of these remarks, we find that reflection on the common good and the private good is often framed as involving a choice between individual rights and the private good on the one hand and common good on the other hand. And I think this is a mistake. That sort of either-or thinking plagues us on many issues. It's easy to think this way, and we all fall into it. Sometimes we think that the rise in stature and dignity of one point of view diminishes other points of view. That the rise in stature and dignity of femininity somehow diminishes masculinity. Or that the rise in stature of one group somehow harms others. And we sometimes hear that provisions for the common good, such as shared responsibility for public education, robs individuals of their personal incentive and personal responsibility to provide for themselves. And so, rhetoric involving the common good can be politically contentious. For a public university to adopt such rhetoric involves some risk. Now, you mentioned the Kansas Leadership Center. I admire their commitment to the common good. And as I understand it, they have increasingly worked to identify their mission with the common good. Their focus on leadership is not on people in positions of power and authority. They want to empower people who are not in traditionally defined leadership positions to be more effective advocates for the common good of whatever organizations they might belong to. The skills they teach are the skills needed for individuals to more effectively work with others in pursuing shared goals and shared visions. For example, to help your family get through a difficult period, to help your church more effectively pursue its mission, or to help your place of business or employment reach its potential, or my favorite, to help one's local university better succeed. Now, what I hope for in ESU's commitment to the common idea of the common good is the beginning of a new kind of social and political discourse in which that sees the private good and the common good as not as mutually exclusive. Now, I know that my hope is somewhat optimistic, maybe wildly optimistic, but hopers are going to hope.
Absolutely, and philosophers are going to think, right? And write and talk and exercise. Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit more about that relationship? Because I think you're exactly right. A lot of times we have, you're either a common good person or you're a private good person. There's no room to be both and. It has to be either or. Can you talk about that idea and how those two ideas are connected, maybe from a higher education perspective?
Well, I'll give you my spin on that. I currently teach a class called Philosophy of Human Nature, and I see one or two of the students out there right now.
They're taking notes. I see them.
One of the enduring themes in both secular and religious philosophical thinking is the inherent tension between our individual and our social aspects. And I think it's true that there's something about us, something about our species, that is deeply individualistic in ways that give meaning and value to our lives. At the same time, there's something deeply social about who and what we are that gives meaning and value to our lives. We're naturally prone to pursue our own self-interest, and at the same time, we're naturally prone to work for the good of others. Our commitment to the private good reflects a basic sentiment shared by most people that our own self-interest is a deep and intrinsic value to all. Our commitment to public institutions reflects a basic sentiment shared by nearly all, that in some big way we're all in it together. And the traditional virtues of loyalty, compassion, honesty, generosity, fairness, all reflect a sense of solidarity with others, sense of common purpose, sense of common good. And so each person is both an individual and a member of a community, and most of us are members of many communities. We need to cultivate both our individual and our social nature. Now, on my view, thriving societies require and cultivate robust and creative individuals, just as creative individuals both require and nourish thriving societies and the common good. There's a tension between our individual nature and our social aspects, and we would be naive if we did not recognize that. But if well managed, that tension can spark creativity. The common good and the private good are dance partners. And just because dance partners sometimes trip over each other and fall down, that's no good reason not to get up and start dancing again. And I know about this because I have some personal experience in this matter.
I share that with you. You've watched me dance.
So, on my view, the conservation and production of both private good and common good requires a vibrant private sector in society and a vibrant public sector. It also requires, and this may be more important, a vibrant dialogue between the two. And one of the roles of the public university is to facilitate that dialogue. Faculty, students, alumni need to be a part of that dialogue. And that goal and purpose of higher education is both a profoundly progressive and a profoundly conservative ideal.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your comments. I noticed your wife Diane's over here, and I don't know about your wife, but when we go dancing, Melanie wears closed-toe shoes. She doesn't risk that. She's not going to risk that move. So I appreciate your thoughts. I appreciate your perspective on things. Appreciate you for starting the conversation. It's certainly a conversation that we're going to have at this university, in this community, and it sounds like it's a conversation that we probably need to have as a larger society. So thank you so much for your time and effort. Let's hear it for Dr. Charlie Brown, our Roe R. Cross Distinguished Professor. And I'd like to turn it over to one of his fellow Roe R. Cross Distinguished Professors, Dr. Mel Storm, who's going to come over here and introduce our 1863 scholarship winners. Please welcome Dr. Mel Storm.
Well, thank you, Tyler. It's a great day to be a Hornet. And it's an even greater day, as I find myself saying about this time every year, it's an even greater day to be a Hornet who writes well. And today it's my pleasant responsibility once again to reward a couple of Hornets who do just that. And today you're going to see just how well they do write. 2 years ago last December, Michael and Karen Shonrock received a gift of $1,863 from the President's Community Advisory Council. The Shonrocks decided to use that money to fund an essay contest. Entrants would write about something at Emporia State that changed their lives. And thus, a tradition was born. I've not done this before, but I'd like personally today to thank the Advisory Council and to ask them to stand, if you would please. The group. Thank you very much. They are Teresa Davidson, Dale Davis, John Geitz, Danny Giefer, Doreen Harter, Jim Kessler, Kim Pember, and Karen Summers. Thank you, folks, for helping launch the Founders Day Essay Contest 3 years ago, and thank you for keeping it going. You would be interested to know that the winners of your contest do succeed in various ways. The violinist today, whom we have been listening to with the string group, was Kendra Briggs, who was one of last year's winners. This year, as always, a group of ROAR Cross Distinguished Professors served as judges. They've done this every year, and here they are again. I would like to ask the Row Cross judges to stand for just a moment, please, and be recognized. Most of them are here. These are David Eds, Betsy Yannick, Dwayne Backus, Amy Sage Webb, Charles Brown, Karen Manners Smith, and Jim Hoy. I really do thank them for their work. There were 42 essays. That's a lot of reading just to get a free lunch. But this year, we added a celebrity judge who unfortunately is not here today. Kay Alden Nelson, whom some of you may know, received her degree from the Department of English in the 1960s. Kay went on to become the head writer for the television drama The Young and the Restless, and then for The Bold and the Beautiful. She's won 5 Emmys. Kay has been a great supporter of ESU during all of these years, and several years ago she endowed a significant scholarship in creative writing. Well, this year the committee winnowed down the 42 essays to a small group of finalists, and Kay, who knows something about good writing, made the final cut. This year we have 2 winners. Second place goes to Morgan Penner, for her essay, Becoming a Hornet. Morgan can't be present today for reasons that her essay explains. She works full-time out of town and wasn't able to come on a weekday. She's been a social worker for 15 years, currently works with the Reno County Head Start. She has 2 children. She returned to school for an online master's degree in early childhood, but as she says in her essay, she hadn't thought graduate study would ever be possible for a full-time employee and a full-time parent, until she visited the ESU website and learned about our distance education offerings. Her essay opens with an account of a typical day, the opening of a typical day, a paragraph that Kay Alden Nelson says immediately captured her attention. My calendar is full. It is linked, synced, and updated several times a day with my husband's calendar. The weekdays begin with a series of questions. Did you brush your teeth, comb your hair? Is your agenda signed? Once I hear yes, 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 we head out the door. It takes 2 stops and 2 goodbyes. One child heads for the elementary school doors and the other gets hugs and kisses outside the preschool classroom. Next, I travel to one of several schools that I serve and begin my workday. After the busyness of the workday, I change gears and switch back into mom mode. The evenings are filled with Taekwondo, Girl Scouts, PTO, youth group, and church activities. As the day comes to a close, the kids are tucked into bed, I put on my PJs and slippers, make a cup of hot tea, and sign into one of my ESU online classes. An award of $863 goes to Morgan Penner. It occurs to me that this is almost exactly the amount of money she needs to pay the tuition for one of those online classes. Our first place award goes to Abraham Kayali for his essay, City of Science and Blood. The reference is to his home, Aleppo, Syria. Abraham is studying in our computer science program and plans to go on for a PhD in engineering. His dream is to build a new education system in Syria after the war ends using the most recent technology. Aleppo, the city of blood, he hopes, can be made clean of its blood by science and education. After the war began, he taught electronic technology in free workshops to over 120 students, partly to help them focus on study and to create a distraction from the war. Now he is here because, as his essay explains, the alternative would have been death. Kay Alden Nelson called Abraham's essay powerful and heartrending, with an impact so strong that it is the undeniable first-place winner. Abraham is sitting here with his 2 brothers, reunited at ESU after 3 years of separation by war. I'll introduce him after I've read an excerpted version of his essay. I will confess from the start that this is not an easy essay for me to read, and I think you'll see why. From death to life, from hell to heaven, in short, is my story. My name is Abraham. I am from the Death City, from Aleppo, Syria. I was living with my mother and with my two brothers. My city is the oldest city in the world. It was a beautiful city, but not anymore. The revolution started in 2011 and after a year turned to war between people and government. In 2012, my two brothers decided to run out from the country to Turkey because our life was dangerous. One of us had to stay with my mother, and that was I. In 2013, my brothers got the opportunity to travel to the USA and continue their study at ESU. In March, the government attacked our building with a huge rocket, and I saw death in my eyes. More than 30 people died there that day. I cannot forget the blood smell. I cannot forget the 3-year-old boy on the floor. When I saw him dying, I couldn't help him in time. I was trying to save my mother's life. After that, I took my mother to my grandfather's apartment, and we lived there. After 1 year, in 2014, the Free Army shot our building by rocket. They said it was a mistake. I was in the sitting room, and the rocket hit the kitchen. The sitting room, by the way, is the slide that you see on the screens around the room. Unfortunately, my mother was in the kitchen. When I heard the rocket voice before it hit our apartment, I felt like life stopped and I saw death again. When you live in Syria, you will learn some kinds of feeling that are worse than fear. You will learn how to believe in death, how to surrender to death, and you will close your eyes without any resistance and get ready for death. No one knows it except the Syrian. The rocket hit our apartment and all the glass started to break and the walls started to move like an earthquake. After 5 seconds, you will start checking your body and you get ready to go back into life again. And after that, you start crying like crazy and you scream your mother's name, Mom, Mom, Mom. I saw my mother sleeping on the floor and I thought that she died. Our neighbors took me back from her body and they took me to the hospital, or they took her to the hospital, and after 2 hours, I heard that she was still alive. For me, that 2 hours, it was like 2 years. After this accident, we realized that we will not survive the next time, and we decided to find a way to keep our life and leave the country. After 1 week, I got a phone call from my brother who studies at ESU, and he told me that I am accepted at Emporia State University. It was the best day of my life. I remember every second of this day. I got the hope which connected me with life again. My mother decided to go with me to the USA. We collected all our money and we sold everything to be able to start a new life. We traveled to Turkey to apply for visas at the United States Embassy. Fortunately, they accepted me. Unfortunately, they refused my mother because they said she is too old. She is 51. I said to her, I will not leave you in the death city, Aleppo. She said to me, you should go and save your life and your education. I left my heart with her and I said to her, I will graduate as fast as possible to make you happy and to rebuild a new life for us. Now she is in the death city, Aleppo, in a dangerous place. I came to the USA and Emporia on August 1st, 2014, and I saw my brothers again after 3 years. God gave me a new life, a new future, and new dreams. Now I am a student at ESU. My department is computer science, and I started 3 research projects about 3 important inventions. I will publish this when I am done in the name of Emporia, the city which gave me a new hope for life. And my first dream is to see my mother again, to hug her just one more time, to kiss her feet and her hands. I just want to share my story with you, and I want to say, thank you, USA. Thank you, Emporia, for giving me all the great gifts. And please pray for my mother, pray for Syria. Now I am a Hornet, and my future is with ESU. Well, along with our hopes and prayers, an award of $1,000 goes to Abraham Kayali and President Shanwak.
Thank you, Mel. The only question you had for me is where do I cash it? No, I'm just kidding. What a great day to be a Hornet. 152 years ago, we started something really important, and we continue that tradition at Emporia State University, changing lives for the common good, giving back to our communities. Today's been a powerful day, an important day of recognition, more importantly, a time to be with friends. I want to thank our string quartet. Let's give them a round of applause on their wonderful effort. Professor Brown, thank you for your thoughts. I also want to thank our students that were part of the video. I think we should give them all a round of applause one more time. I think they did an exceptional job. And the two most important words after luncheon or dinner, in closing. In closing, may I thank all of you for being part of this very important place called the Hornet Nation. Not only thank you for your tremendous support now and forever, but thank you for your love of a very important place for all of us in our hearts. Have a great day. It is a great day to be a Hornet. Thank you. Last notes.
Let's hear it for our president, Michael Schonrock. Just one last announcement before we break for the rest of the day. Thank you so much for being here. Our Kellogg Society, you do have a special presentation today at 1 o'clock, and that has moved to the Preston Room. So if you will make your way to the Preston Room at the close of lunch, and please give our Kellogg Society members one more big round of applause for their commitment to Emporia State. Certainly interesting that our institution was founded during a lot of strife, a lot of civil strife. There was a civil war going on when this institution was founded. And also in Syria, there's a lot of war-torn areas there, as well as Zimbabwe from some of our students. And what do we turn to in order to get beyond that state? We really turn to education. And we turn to the value of education and the hope of education. So thank you so much for sharing in this day with us. We look forward to celebrating next year for 153 years. Have a great rest of the day. President, thank you so much for your comments, and we will see you all next time. Thanks a lot.